Hi there, welcome back to GP Reactions. I hope you're well. I hope you're enjoying this weekend. It's now Sunday. Big thank you to everybody that's subscribed. I've had all sorts of issues with my bits and pieces, my laptop, and I had a really bad cold, and it's the reason why I haven't posted for a little while. But hopefully, touch wood, now that things are a little bit better in all departments, I'm going to try and post a little bit more regularly. But this is a track by the Stranglers I'm going to react to, and this is called Down in the Sewer. Down in the Sewer is taken from their 1977 album Rattus Norvegicus. Rattus Norvegicus. I'm guessing it is that the Latin for just rat or something. The Stranglers consist of a made-up of Hugh Cornwall on guitars and lead vocals, JJ Burnell on bass and backing vocals, Dave Greenfield on keyboards, and Jet Black on percussion and drums. This is quite a long track by the looks of it, 7:58. Really looking forward to it. I mean, I'm used to Stranglers tracks that are quite short, so this is going to be really interesting. I'm just actually squinting to see what else is on this album. Peaches is on this album. I have heard of Peaches. Couldn't tell you how it went, but it's one of those tracks where when I'm looking at chart rundowns, I tend to come across that track. I think it's a summer track. Might have to react to it at some point, see if I do actually remember it. So Down in the Sewer was the final track on the album on side 2. So without further ado, this is Down in the Sewer. Pause here. This is great. I love that whole long intro. It's so Oh, look, the guitar was just like absolutely driving that as mental. And I love the guitar synths or keyboards working. It's like tandem together, each kind of bubbling to the surface in the first couple of minutes. And I, I, I love it. I love the beginning of the lyrics of this as well because it's. I was thinking that he was just talking about rats, but he's living down in sewers with rats. It kind of has like a bit of an apocalyptic feel to it. So he's living on a farm, but now he's down in the sewer. So what's he hiding from? What's happened to the world above him? Very interesting.
People say you shouldn't stay down here too long. Lose your sense of light and dark, lose your sense of smell. I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. Gonna make love to a water rat or two. And breed a family. They'll be called the survivors. You know why? 'Cause they're gonna survive.
That was interesting. I was just beginning to think it was like an apocalyptic kind of feel to it. But then he mentioned he's going to breed a family called Survivors. And of course, I'm sure. I mean, there was a modern version of that, which ironically was filmed on my housing estate, but which I'll mention afterwards. But I'm sure there was an original version of that as well, which would have been in the 70s. I wonder if this is alluding to that, and maybe the relationship that's not mentioned so much about. So you're surviving, the rats are surviving, you're all together down in the sewer surviving. Oh, it was brilliant. That was the Stranglers down in the Seal. I've really thoroughly enjoyed that. It was a great bit of music actually, and normally I'm very used to the whole story and the music starting and finishing at roughly the same time. But it's such a great long intro into that. And I love the de-escalation and escalation of the guitars and the keyboards throughout. Just kind of gave that sense of urgency, hurrying, then slowing down, taking the whole your environment in, the surroundings, and then that sense of urgency again. And at the end with the keyboards, it kind of reminded me of like but just reminded me of like it was almost that imagery of like rats scampering about in a service. I thought that was really really cool. Let's just take a quick look at the lyrics to this. Picking up quite a lot of empty Coca-Cola cans, and there sure are a lot of them around here. How did I get down here? Well, it's a long story. I should have stayed down home, out on the farm, and kept my tootsies warm instead of freezing them off down here. There's lots of rats down here. You can see the whites of their eyes. They got sharp teeth, deep breath, and lots of diseases. People say you shouldn't stay. This is my favourite bit. People say you shouldn't stay down here too long. Lose your sense of light and dark. Lose your sense of smell. And I kind of thought, this was interesting because it's almost they're clever songs. It's alluding to maybe a post-apocalyptic scenario, but also it's actually alluding to maybe a lifestyle. Leaving the rural areas where you've been brought up, moving to a big city, and perhaps the idea of losing your sense of light and dark and your sense of smell. Maybe that's an allusion to alluding to drugs as well, perhaps. So it kind of was the lyrics work on a number of levels. I tell you what I'm going to do. Going to make love to a water rat or two, just like poetically. And breed a family. They'll be called the survivors. You know why? No, they're going to survive. I'll see you in the sewer, darling, and don't be late. I mean, the lyrics weren't as long as I thought it would be for this length track, but they were quite there and to the point, really. And like I said, they works on several different layers, depending on how you're thinking the lyrics are about. I can definitely see this being like a survival type of a song about that sort of situation in the future where, the only things that survive after maybe a nuclear war or something are the rats and a few human beings, and you're living amongst the rats. But I can also see the rats being characters that you encounter in large cities who are maybe not, they have a lower level of the bar's a little bit lower for them lifestyle wise, and you're kind of very much exposed to drugs and alcohol, stuff like that, things that are going to dull your senses eventually. But yeah, it's a great song, and fantastic music in this, really fantastic music. I often appreciate the lyrics of Stranglers records, but I think sometimes they are under appreciate the quality of their musicianship, and this really shines through on this song. This is, I guess, is this a punk classic or a rock classic even, or maybe a combination of the two. The little story I was going to tell you about Survivors was the remake of, I'm sure it was a remake of the original one. I think it was out about 2010. Now, without giving away my location, I live on a housing estate, and around about the time that this post-apocalyptic drama was remade, they actually filmed a scene or two from a tower block on my housing estate, and because how run down my estate was at the time, it actually fitted the profile of a post-apocalyptic scene, and that's what I'm going to say. And on that, because I don't want to run down where I live too much. It's improved a lot since then, and there's been a lot of rebuilding done, and they couldn't film that kind of imagery now where I live. but back then they could. It very much fitted the bill. Guys, really hope you enjoyed this. It was an unexpected pleasure to listen to it, and please join me in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this track, and whether you heard this originally back in '77 as well, and what kind of impact that had on you. So yeah, till next time, take care of yourselves, and I'll speak to you all soon.